Well, hello there, Skywinders. Welcome back to another episode of Skywind007. On today's episode, we have this right here, and I know you can't see the whole box, but it's the Ninja Professional Plus blender. It says Auto IQ One Touch Intelligent, blah blah blah, 1200 watts, so at 1200 watts. As you can see, it's this one right here, and I have been using it for a while. We have been using it for a while, and there's not a whole lot to say about a blender other than that it does work. But the main thing I want to talk about is the power and the noise level, because all blenders blend. That's why they're called blenders. But this one definitely is, I can safely say, is the best blender we have ever had. And I had up until now, it was the Black & Decker that I have reviewed already. That was the best blender that I had up until now. But now this one takes number one, this Ninja, because it's so powerful. Mainly because of that, and also because the impeller, I'm gonna call it the impeller, that those blades, there's 3 sets of blades. So I want to start out with safety. I'm gonna tell you that those blades are extremely sharp, and my mother already cut herself with them trying to clean them. Let's take a look at them. Okay, so to open this, you have to press over here, pull up like that, and then just lift. And as you can see in here, this is the impeller, and it has 3 sets of double blades, which are unbelievably sharp, so you have to be very careful. And that's it. So it's just a blender with 3 blades, 3 sets of blades, total of 6 blades. And that does make a big difference than the regular kind of blenders that only have 1 set of 2 blades. Now to remove the pitcher, you just twist it like this, and then you push up. And then to put it back in, you put it in that direction like that, and you twist. And that's it. It's a very simple thing. So now let's go to the controls. So down here we have the controls. As you can see, they're flashing. Let me turn off the lights. So they are backlit. At least the symbols, not the letters. Okay, so you have these options right here. You have smoothie, you have ice crush, and then you have low, medium, high, and pulse. So if you're familiar with blenders, this is basically the usual stuff you normally see on a high-end blender. You have that smoothie option. That kind of starts out with pulses, and then it goes continuous, and then it stops by itself. So it's like an automated thing. Same thing with the ice. And then down here you have these continuous, low, medium, high, and then pulses if you want to go two. So that's how that works. So it's basic. You don't really need this. This is just I wouldn't want to call it overkill, but this is just an extra. You don't have to have it. If it ever fails, I wouldn't worry about it. And as far as the power is definitely a very powerful blender. So the most I have ever had was 800 watts, which was the Black & Decker, and that used to be number 1. Now it's number 2. This one with 1200 watts is definitely more powerful, and it blends right away with the 3 blades. I'm sure you've been in that situation where over here you're blending something and the stuff on the bottom blends, but the stuff on the top is not blending. But this thing with the 3 sets of blades, it avoids that. So that's never going to happen with this. By the way, this is plastic, not glass. And so it definitely blends very fast. And if anything, it has too much power. Sometimes I feel like it has too much power, because if you blend for too long, it liquefies things to the point that it turns into a foam. That's how powerful this is. But it is good at the same time, because you never really have to use that high power settings, not even the medium. You can just rely on the low. And that's it. That's all you need. If you start using the high, everything's going to turn into a liquid and a foam, and it's not going to be, at least in my opinion, that's not what I want. I don't want foam. I just want liquid. So go with the low, and that is the quietest level. I want to demonstrate the smoothie and ice crush functions just for fun. So let's turn that on. Okay, so I just discovered something interesting. I forgot to put the lid, and if you don't put the lid, it does nothing. That's because the lid is right here. So let's put the lid. Make sure those two align. Okay, so the lid is on. So remember, if you see this flashing like this, when it's flashing like that, it means that the lid is not on, it's not put on correctly, or it's not on at all. But when you connect the lid, you install the lid, you can see it stays on. So right here, it's off. Right there, it's on. So that's pretty cool, because I never had a blender that would had a safety feature if the lid was not on. But anyway, let's test the smoothie function. Okay, so it's finished. So now let's test the ice crush. Okay, so it's finished. So remember, it's auto off. So both functions automatically turn off, so you don't have to worry about them. So now let's do the sound level testing. Okay, so this is our decibel meter. Turn it on. Okay, so let's start with low. Let's click on range so we can find the range. That's going to tell us the max. Okay, 83.2. That is on low, 83.2. So let's do medium. So 85.6. So let's do high. So about 86.6. Okay, so another cool thing about this blender is that if you turn it around like this and you look down here, you're gonna notice these suction cups right here and right here. These are suction cups, and these will keep the back are rubber pads, but the front are suction cups, or like they feel like suction cups. Anyway, I do notice that this doesn't slide as much as the other blenders. And on the back of the blender, if you want to put it away, you can store it away by coiling the cord. This cord can be coiled around that structure like this. Ta-da! Okay folks, so we have reached the end of this review, and overall I'm 100% happy with this. I don't have any issues with it. I can't think of anything that you should be cautious about it. Everything works as expected. It has these two functions that automatically turn off, and then you have the regular analog controls down here. I call them analog. They're the regular controls. It is a little bit loud, but it's quieter than the other blenders. So when I say it's loud, all blenders are loud. There's no such thing as a quiet blender. But if you use it on low, and the odds are you're going to be using it on low because this liquefies too much and this one turns everything into foam, you're definitely going to want to stay on low, and that has the lowest sound level. As far as safety, it definitely does have a lot of safety. If you take off the picture like this, if you remove the whole picture, you see it flashing. It's telling you that something's not right, and it's not going to operate. See, it doesn't operate without the picture. But even with the picture, if you take off the lid, if you just remove the lid a little bit like that, see the picture's still here. If you just remove the lid, it starts flashing and it's not going to operate. So it's definitely it does have a lot of safety features, so I wouldn't worry about too much about safety, like having a horrific accident like the cheap blenders. So I can definitely recommend it for safety. It's definitely very powerful, very cleaning is, I found that cleaning is fairly easy. It's a lot easier than others like the Black & Decker that I reviewed. I found that this one is a lot easier. In particular, the lid, because this is where you're going to run into trouble with most blenders. But this one's fairly easy to clean because it liquefies so much, everything just washes away. You don't even have to use soap. I do use soap anyway, but it does a very good job at, it's very easy to clean. And I made a mess. It's reasonably splash proof, as you can see. You can get some of the liquid in there and it's not going to mess everything up. But so overall, I'd give this 5 stars out of 5. I 100% recommend it because it's working fairly great and I don't see any issues with it. So thank you for watching, subscribe, and thumbs up.